Ooh, she's saying sure. We leave the apartment together. Snow is falling quietly all around us. There's not a single other person in sight, but that makes sense seeing as it's past midnight. NIEL opens up an umbrella and walks next to me to shield us from the snow. He's so close to me, but it's not awkward at all. Are your hands alright? NIEL asks me. I look at my red hands and stuff them inside of my pockets of my coat. I'm fine. I can withstand a little snow. We're quiet for a while, both walking silently on the sidewalk. I know where I live is quite far and a taxi would be much nicer, but I guess I don't want to leave NIEL just yet. I swing my purse back and forth, wondering what to say. Have you seen Angela's dress? I ask. The one I made?
Yeah.
She hasn't been keeping it a secret exactly. NIEL shakes his head a little. Well, that's Angela for you. Likes the attention, I say with a smile. Always has. You two seem close since you were kids. I feel like if I keep talking like this, then I will notice how I feel my heart beat faster now that NIEL's walking closer to me. Yeah, she's always been bossy over me. She got her quirks and faults, but she can be quite lovely. I can see his smile as he recalls some memories. She always been there for me, like an older sister. I admit my first impression of Angela wasn't very favorable, just some crazy drunk, but she's grown on me since then. NIEL keeps quiet once more and I realize why. I met Angela for the first time at the masquerade party, the subject that we've both been avoiding, like it's taboo. And just like that, we spend the entire way in complete silence. Okay, it's good time to kiss, but I guess not. When we arrive at my store, I feel relieved that I don't have to stick around in the suffocating silence anymore. I stop at my front door and I turn to face him. NIEL closes the umbrella and shakes it to remove any snow still on it. We're safe from the snow underneath the awning of my store. You didn't have to walk me back the entire way, but thanks. NIEL looks deep in thought and doesn't respond besides a simple nod. Well, good night. I feel briefly disappointed that nothing happened the entire time. What was I expecting? Kiss. Sorry, says NIEL in a tiny voice. I raise my eyebrows at him and want to ask him what he's apologizing for. In fact, I'm quite shocked he even has a word in his vocabulary. Has that word. I didn't think NIEL could ever utter the word sorry. For mistaking you as a boy, he says. And for my subsequent reaction and attitude afterwards once we met up again by chance. I lean against the cold door frame. You mean being an asshole? NIEL huffs and glares at me, and it quickly vanishes from his face. Yes, he lets out a deep sigh. I was embarrassed that I met someone from so long ago. Someone that I might have looked up to, and that someone turned out to not be a rough boy, I imagine, but a beautiful woman instead. Oh my god, he complimented us. My eyes widen. I can't help it. My face flushes red at the abrupt compliment. I wasn't expecting that. I lashed out to hide my embarrassment, and for that, I apologize. Wow, I didn't know you had it in you to apologize. I'm actually quite floored, so much that I fanned my face a little to cool it down, despite the cold weather. NIEL growls at me. Don't test my patience. I recalled the conversation we had a couple months ago, when he said he only cares what a select few people have to say. So you looked up to me, I muse. What about now? Am I one of those people whose opinions of you that matters? Please say yes. It's NIEL whose eyes widen this time, even though it's hard to see in the dark. He doesn't answer me. Well, fuck you too. That's a no, huh? I guess that's why you pranked me that night. I didn't prank you, NIEL hisses. He shakes his head and then starts quickly pace back and forth at my doorstep. He seems quite shaken up. Kiss. He begins, then stops to look at me. He gestures with his hands but doesn't quite know how to start. It's weird to see NIEL at a loss of words like this. When I realized that you had no blubbering idea who I was, that you mistook some other man for me, I went along, alright? Why? I whisper. NIEL throws his hands up in the air and then runs them through his hair, grabbing a fistful. I just liked how you were treating me when you thought I was someone else. You weren't trying to be snarky with me. You weren't so tense and on guard around me. We weren't having some petty argument. We were simply normal. That's all there is to it. I take a moment to collect my thoughts. So NIEL says he wasn't pulling a prank on me during the party. He simply kept the facade going on because he liked how I was treating him when I thought he wasn't NIEL. I remember back at the party how I realized that I was acting awful towards the person that I mistook as NIEL, and how I must have been treating NIEL all this time. But whose fault is it in the first place that I acted like this? Yeah, I gotta admit to the fact that I could have been nicer. I guess I haven't exactly treated you fair as well. There must have been the moments where I took the opportunity to be nasty to him as well. But NIEL is the one who basically started it. Why should I treat a jerk like him with respect and dignity when he hasn't shown me any in return to be the better person, bigger person, whatever? But NIEL, I treated him differently because he hasn't been a jerk to me yet. When someone treats me with kindness, I do the same. When someone treats me like I'm dirt under his shoes, guess what do you expect from me? I haven't treated you like dirt, he grumbles. I glare at him. No, sometimes you treated me even worse. Remember the time that I ran into you in front of the cafe? What was that all about? I don't deserve that kind of treatment. NIEL turns his head away. Most likely because he knows I'm right. He starts, but swallows the rest of the words, like he's not able to express his thoughts again. I was having a stressful day at work back then. Everyone around me continued to make one mistake after another and worsen the situation, so when I saw you, I lost my temper. NIEL bites down on his lips and he lowers his head, averting his eyes away from me. I know it's not an excuse, he admits. Again, I apologize for my behavior. He then looks me in the eye. It's an honest look, like he's finally looking at me without any barriers up. He closes the gap between us. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Kiss! Oh my god. His eyes widen as he steps into my eyes widen as he steps into my personal space. I'm pressed against my own door, trapped between it and NIEL. NIEL places his hand against the door, next to my face. I feel my heart throb. He looks at me with an intense and longing gaze. I lose my control around you. Oh. His voice rings through my ears and my knees just about turn into jelly. NIEL's eyes flicker down towards my lips and he slowly moves in closer. Oh my god, kiss him. I can't deny it. I want him to kiss me. So I don't move an inch when NIEL closes the distance between us and presses his lips against mine. Feelings from that one fateful night come rushing back to me when our lips touch. His lips are cold from the snow, but they're full of life. I respond to the touch slightly. Ew, hoo-hoo. Oh my god. This is so embarrassing to read because it's like, it's fine when you read like a fan fiction and you're just like, man, it's cool because I'm reading it in my head, but then you say it out loud sometimes and you're just like, okay. I respond to the touch, likely sucking on his lips and pressing myself closer to his body. I can't. It's really good. That's the thing. I'm like, oh my god, my face is heating up right now. I focus on the warmth of his plump lips. They're just as addicting as the first time. NIEL's arms snake around my waist and pulls me into an intimate embrace. I feel helpless and overrun by my emotions who want nothing more than to continue kissing NIEL. The kiss is rough and clumsy, like we both can't get enough, and my mouth feels sore after a few seconds. NIEL dominantly presses me against the door and the doorknob digs into my back. I break free from the kiss just long enough to open my door and we both stumble inside. Do it, do it, do it. The bell of the store ring jingles, but neither of us pay attention to it. I pull NIEL closer to me after he slams the door shut. I can hear my heart pleading for those lips again. I lean forward myself to catch his lips. My tongue slips inside and I connect with NIEL's. My entire body shivers, but it isn't me that moans, it's NIEL. It's muffled, but oh my god, that's so hot. My knees spontaneously turn into jelly. NIEL's arms keep me upright, and soon enough I find myself pressed against the counter. Really? Here? Hell yeah! Desperately, I struggle to take my coat off, and NIEL does the same. Our coats lay forgotten on the ground. Okay, so we're gonna do the do? Cool. I place my hand on NIEL's shoulders, not breaking away from his tongue, to give him a boost to sit on the counter. I wrap my legs around NIEL's waist. I twist my tongue around his. NIEL grunts loudly, and his hands are running over my back until they're tangled with my hair. His tongue is now pushing inside my mouth like he's battling for dominance over me, but I push back just as hard. The chemistry between us is undeniable. In this moment, we just seem like it's perfect fit together. NIEL breaks away from me, and I immediately want to pull him back because I miss his warmth. He's giving me a longing look while he takes a second to catch his breath. Then he's back. A hand wraps around the side of my neck, and soon NIEL's lips are on the other side, sucking the sensitive patch of the skin there. Damn. Ooh, man, I feel like I should put like a PG-13 warning here. I harshly suck in a breath and claw my fingers on his back. His hair tickles my cheeks and my lips brush against the tip of his ear. I can feel NIEL leaving a trail of kisses on my neck, and I am once more gasping for air. Maybe this is what could have happened if we weren't interrupted at the night party that night. More. I want more. Feeling more aggressive, I place my hands on the sides of NIEL's face to bring him back up to mine, and I press my lips against his. Boom. Damn. I just wish. Oh, God. Ah, that's so hot. That is so. I'm really sad that the fact of like the hair is supposed to change, but like for some reason in my version it's not changing, and I get so sad at the thought that I'm just like, okay. I lower my body a bit, pushing away at any objects on the counter, and I pull NIEL along until my back is touching the cold end of the counter and NIEL's practically on top of me. I love the feeling of his weight on me, and I keep him locked into place by embracing him with my arms. But it's not like NIEL is showing any indication he wants to leave, because he's writhing and squirming on top of me while letting out little gasps of air as he continues to kiss me. It's like uncharted territory, both of us exploring what the other has to offer. Our bodies are hot to the touch, and this is starting to go down a dangerous path that I'm so willing to take. NIEL nibbles at the bottom of my lip, and any doubts I may have had just fly right out of the window. Hell yeah, girl! He kisses me like he's hungry for more, like he's unable to stop himself. His lips are so hot on mine. I can't believe this is really NIEL, devouring me like it's like the last night on Earth. Do it, do it, do it. By accident, my elbow knocks over something over from the counter, sending it crashing to the ground. The sound has interrupted us both, and we're finally apart and sitting up straight. God damn it! We were so close! But NIEL doesn't pull back all the way, keeping an arm locked around my waist. It seemed to have been an umbrella NIEL was carrying that I knocked off the counter. Blasted umbrella. We look at each other. Oh, look at the way he's looking at us, though. We looked at each other for a while, both a little bit out of breath. I cursed the umbrella in my mind. NIEL's arms finally slip away from my waist, and my body tenses up, longing to feel his touch again. We should. NIEL starts in this really sexy voice. Probably stop. Don't say that, though. NIEL bends down to pick up the umbrella, and he keeps it close to his body. Immediately, I want to protest and ask why in the world I would want this to stop, but the more seconds pass where we're not sucking off each other's face, the more I have time for it to sink in. And I realize I've just been heavily making out with NIEL. Only hours before, I could have sworn I was mad at him, and only seconds ago he was on top of me. I sheepishly nod at him, wiping away any saliva near my mouth. All of a sudden, I feel embarrassed for acting the way I did. NIEL finally steps away from me and picks up his coat from the floor. I feel even more awkward sitting on the top of the counter, so I slip off the edge and stand on my feet as well. I should go home now. Have a good night, Meli. NIEL starts to leave. No, fuck that. I grab his shirt quickly, press my lips against his. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. I really don't want him to leave, but if he feels he must, I want one last kiss before the spell is broken and I start freaking out about the entire thing. NIEL leans in closer and gently responds to my kiss by moving his lips in sync with mine. This time, I'm the one who stops. Good night, NIEL, I say. We could have had it all, man. We could have had it all. NIEL gives me the tiniest nod and finally leaves the store. So angry, Meli. You could have had him. I sink down to the floor with my back against the counter and groan out loud in frustration. Yeah, I know. You could have had it all. God damn it, Meli. God damn it. I just dropped a freaking umbrella on the floor. Right. Though I really want to see why I don't... Why don't I have... Like... I'm so sad about the hair thing. Let's see. Outfit. Is it my hair that's like the problem here? Yes. Finished. Yes. I don't think I'm gonna get what I want. Okay. Yeah, I know he doesn't exist. We're almost at chapter 25. I'm so upset because I want more. Continue. Proceed. The past few days have been whirlwind of emotions, uncertainty, and it scares me the things that's been going on. I don't really know what to feel or what to do. I haven't even talked to Sarah about it. I can't really put my thoughts and emotions into words. All I know for sure is that NIEL and I definitely kissed. All this time, I knew it was him. It's confusing because I'm pretty sure I wanted nothing to do with him for the longest time, yet right now my hands are holding my phone and I'm typing a message to NIEL. The day when I left the bar, I took his cape with me, so here I am asking him if I could drop it off sometime to return it. I realize that this is just a thinly veiled excuse to see him again, but I choose not to think about it too much. I merely got a reply from NIEL. I read it. It's an address. Confused, I start to type back, but before I can even start, I get another message. Come. It's almost like he's commanding me to come over. If I weren't in this state of mind, I would have told him to go jump off a cliff and dump into the cape into a trash can. But I feel myself well up with a buoyant feeling and grab the stupid cape and head outside, phone in hand with the GPS on. The GPS leads me to a nicer part of the city, more like where Angela lives. I come across an apartment complex and I hesitantly stand in front of the entrance. I'm so nervous right now, it's stupid. I make my way to NIEL's apartment and he lets me in. This is so aesthetically pleasing, bro. NIEL greets me with a silent stare. He looks impeccable as always. Is he gonna give me like the cold treatment? I'm so freaking... If he does, boy. Groomed and neat, like he's been drilled into him from a young age to present himself this way. Good day, he greets me politely. I stand before him in the entrance hall like a bundle of nerves. My heart thrown into a tizzy of memories from a few days ago come rushing back to me. My eyes look over at his lips and immediately look back into his eyes. No, I can't be thinking about things like this right now. I need to return his cape, that's all. My excuse to see him is as thin and transparent as the fabric in my hands. Hello, I greet him back. Come in, Meli, NIEL says as he gestures to his living room. Hesitantly, but with... I'm like... I don't know, man. This is not... I don't know why... I feel like so, like... I don't know if this is great. I should have just been like, give me your address, I'll send it to you. Hesitantly, but with a skip in my step, I take a few steps further and enter his living room. It's just as spacious as I imagined. All the pieces of furniture are sleek and shiny in design, and they're all carefully placed. Like each one serves a purpose. Everything is spotless as well. Certainly no cobwebs in the corners or dust bunnies hiding under his couch. It makes me feel out of place, like I don't belong here. It feels like a different world altogether. Nice place, I say with a tiny smile. Doesn't seem like you spend a lot of time here, though. NIEL pauses, looking down. No, I spend a lot of time at the hospital. Sometimes there's simply so much work to do that I sleep in the lounge room over there. Who keeps the place clean? I can't imagine you do it, I say. No, I am 8, of course. Who else would want to do such a lowly work? Boy. I clean my own place, I say with a pointed look. Most adults do. And I've got other, more important things to do with my time than to waste on cleaning. NIEL fixes his tie as if it's to make a point. I bite my lip and give him a glare. Why purposely try to provoke me into a fight with him? Shouldn't we be past this by now? Regardless whether or not you clean up afterwards, NIEL, I came to return this to you. I brandished the cape from my bag. Neil simply takes it from my hands without a word, although it seems more like he's trying to avoid looking at me. When his fingers clasp around the cloth, they brush against mine and Neil jerks back in surprise. I don't really know how to react to that, except I kind of want to touch Neil again. As Neil walks away to put away the cake, I notice something familiar. On his coffee table, there's a white vase that looks strikingly similar to one of Angela's apartment, the one she was bragging about. I point at it with my finger. Angela has the same one. You guys must have the same taste. Neil folds the cape over his arm as he looked at me, all elegant and dapper. I certainly hope so, considering I designed them and she creates them. I raise my eyebrow. You design vases. He gives a disapproving look. I expected you to have been more clever than that and figured it out by now, he says dryly. I look around his apartment, seeing only the most expensive designer furniture, wondering what Neil means by that. Does he make furniture, perhaps? Neil sighs after seeing me struggle. Angela's a sculptor. A very well-paid one, as you may have noticed. Ah, that explains some of the funny decorations in her home, I say with a nod. But you said you designed them. A hobby of yours? Neil stays silent for a while, looking down at the vase in question. His eyes are wavering, like he's undecided or conflicted about something. I suppose, is all he says. It's not a particular hobby when you got a bachelor's degree for it. I purse my lips, carefully letting his information sink in. Apparently, Neil went to college for what exactly? Interior design. Honestly, I have no idea Neil went to college in the first place. I thought he merely got a job handed to him on a silver platter from his family. But interior design, of all things, I had no idea. Is that what you do at the hospital? I ask. Do you design the entrance hall or something? Neil shakes his head with a chuckle. Ah, he left. No, I don't do anything of that sort at the hospital. My father would have raised hell about it. He straightens his back with a sigh. No, I just do boring paperwork and handle negotiations with our investors. That's more information you volunteered to me since the day we've met, I say, a little bit surprised myself. Neil averts his eyes away from mine, looking bashful in my presence. And that's all you're going to get, he says sternly. Now, if you'll excuse me for a moment, he gestures towards the cape on his arm and then walks out of the room. It's kind of being an ass. I awkwardly stand in the middle of his living room, not quite sure what to do with myself. So Neil has a bachelor's degree in interior design. I wonder what he was like during college. Probably not much different from now. Still mean-spirited and arrogant to a fault. And yet, I totally made out with him a few days ago. The way it was cut short, it still leaves me longing for more, and it's actually quite embarrassing. I haven't kissed anyone like that in a while now. Eventually, I see myself on Neil's couch. It's hard and uncomfortable to sit on, but it matches the rest of the fancy decorations in the room. I guess Neil prefers looks over comfort. Or as he mentioned, he's not very much at home, so he probably won't be sitting down on this couch for a long time either. Neil makes his appearance again, fixing his black hair as he walks over to me. I realize I'm staring at him, so I quickly look away. The black haircut on him really does suit him. I thought you said it didn't, but whatever. Your couch isn't very comfy, I say jokingly. Neil sits down on the other end of the couch, and a tiny bit disappointed he didn't want to get closer than that to me. You're right, he says with a huff. It is uncomfortable to sit on. My eyes widen in surprise. He's not giving me some smart-ass comment in return? Angela got this for me as a gift for purchasing my first apartment. Oh, so you didn't really have to say in it. Neil stretches out his arms across the back of the couch, and I'm hyper aware of how close his arm is near my shoulder. Had I said anything negative about it, I've never heard the end of it, so I'm stuck with it. I chuckle. That does sound like Angela to me. She'd talk his ears off, berating him for saying anything bad about a gift she gave him. I don't know what to do. I don't feel like I know there's no bad choices. I just think number one is a little too, I don't know. I'm just gonna make a joke. I think it's too tense to say anything else. At least you're not the only one who's uncomfortable. We can share the misery together. Neil gives me an amused snort. Misery loves company, right? There's a genuine smile on Neil's lips and it's a little sexy look on him. I can't believe I've ever seen a day where Neil would smile at something I said. Then again, I also never thought I would kiss Neil as well. The likelihood of me running Neil over with my car was a much higher probability than me planting my lips on his out of my own free will. I look into Neil's eyes and give him a shy smile in return. Seeing these new sides of Neil is making me all nervous. Neil doesn't look away from me either. In fact, it looks like he's just about to say something. But we get interrupted when Neil's cell phone rings. He quickly gets up from the couch and takes out his phone from his pocket. "Excuse me, I have to take this," he says, and then walks out of the living room once more. I sit there, wondering what could have happened between us just now. I won't deny it. I kind of want a repeat of what happened between us the last time we met. A text message from my phone alerts me, and I check it real quick. It's Angela. She's asking me if I got time to have lunch with her today. In the other room, I can hear Neil talking on his phone as I type a reply to Angela. A few seconds later, Neil walks back into the living room, slipping his expensive-looking cell phone just into the pocket of his vest. I'm going to have to cut this short. My cousin just called me and wishes to see me for something urgent. I blink slowly, raising my eyebrows in surprise. You mean Angela? What other cousin could I be referring to? Neil says with a sigh. The imaginary cousin who doesn't bug me all the time and cause trouble? No, I mean, she invited me to lunch. I troll off and show Neil the text message on my phone. This time, it's Neil who has a surprised expression on his face. It looks like he can't process it and shakes his head. She's setting us up and it's fucking hilarious. Did she now? My phone beeps again and Angela has sent me the details of our meeting place. Probably some expensive lunchroom, although when I read it, it seems to be a cafe that I go to quite often, the one next to the hospital. She wants me to meet at the cafe, I say. Neil sighs. He's definitely not happy about something. That's where she asked me to meet up. I don't know what kind of trouble she caused or why she's involving you into her business, but we should probably find out what she has gotten herself into. I nod at him and we both leave to the cafe. What the hell did Angela do that she's inviting us to lunch? Neil and I arrive at the cafe. I'm a bit nervous being alone with Neil all the time, so I'm glad when I see Angela sitting at the booth in the back, a nice quiet spot. Once she sees us, she waves us over. Darlings! Yeah, I knew it. You look nervous. Did anything happen on your way here? She says Angela while inspecting every inch of my skin with wary eyes. I swallow. No, I'm fine. I'm just concerned about you. Angela turns to look at Neil, who takes a seat at the booth. What did you tell her? Don't scare the poor girl. I sit down next to Neil, making sure to leave enough space between us, lest I get anxious again. I did nothing of that sort. Now, can you tell me what we were doing here and why I had to rush? Yes, Angela, please tell us why you had to ruin a nice moment between me and Neil. Angela sips on her coffee. Oh, you didn't have to rush, you silly Nelly. But I did, however, wanted both of you together. Did you get into a row again with my parents when you were drunk? Neil asked accusingly. Angela's mouth shapes said, oh, and then innocently shakes her head. Why, of course not. Don't think so lowly of me. I was only tipsy at best. Neil gives her a glare and crosses his arms across his chest. I told you to stop engaging with my parents. They're not going to listen. I start to wonder just how big of a problem alcohol is for Angela. If I had to believe Neil's words, it seems like it's a reoccurring problem. Not that I really understand their family dynamic or what's going on. I feel out of place, like I shouldn't be listening in. Angela starts to pout. You know I can't help myself when they're talking about deciding your fate. Who else is going to have your back if your own cousin won't protect you? I don't need you to be the hero and cause even more trouble, Angela. So tell me, what happened this time? Well, I may have proposed to find you a fiance. Neil looks flabbergasted, torn between surprise and embarrassment. He pushes the palm of his hand against his forehead in shame. Before I lose myself here, can you please explain why you had to come up with such a ridiculous idea? You see, I know they're making you work too much. You simply can't handle the position Marcus is giving you. In fact, you don't even want anything to do with the hospital. It's like they don't care. You're overworked and tired, and it's absolutely too much. Don't go deciding what I can or cannot handle, Neil spits out in anger, cutting off Angela's words. Why am I here again? Does it sound like a family dispute? When I tried to reason with them, Marcus would have none of it, until I mentioned that I know they were looking for a marriage candidate for you, and that I actually knew someone who would be a good fit. Suddenly I'm starting to understand the reason why I'm here. Shit. You did not, Neil says in a low voice, narrowing his eyes at Angela. He leans his face into his hands in anticipation. I said I would play matchmaker if they cut down on your hours, or of course, at first I tried to bargain for you to be able to up and leave the job, but that seemed to simply piss him off even more. But Evelyn was intrigued with the idea of marrying off her son. I know they've been looking for a while now, so I struck a deal. Neil sinks his face into his hands even further. Meli, dear, do you think you would be willing to help out my dim-witted cousin by pretending to be his fiancé? I let out a nervous laugh as does Neil. I feel completely out of my element here. Neil is sitting next to me, not saying a word. I can only see that the tips of his ears are a nice salmon color, and I'm pretty sure my own cheeks are blushing as well, since I have no idea how to answer this question. So yes. Maybe pretend to be Neil's fiancé? What kind of TV drama did I step into now? You wouldn't need to do much, just take a few cutesy pictures together, meet Marcus and Evelyn for dinner just once, and everything is set. And then what? Wouldn't they expect us to get married eventually? What possessed you to think this was in any way a good idea? Your drivel is madness at this point. Just how drunk were you? Don't be so fussy about the details. You could simply announce you've broken the engagement afterwards. I mean, people are sometimes engaged for years, you know. Neil gestures at me with his hand. You want me to pretend to be in some kind of relationship with someone like her for entire... Boy, I take offense to that. I'm not saying you should stick together for an entire year, simply long enough to satisfy your parents and get them off your back. Isn't that what you want? Or are you saying you love being overworked as a job that you hate? Don't I get a say in this? I pipe in. Neil ignores me. It solves nothing, Angela. Let's pretend for a second here we could fool my parents. They give me less hours to work, and who knows how long this will last. It'll only be for a little while until everything reverts back to my normal work hours. Fundamentally, nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is you cooked some ridiculous scheme that's not worth my time. Well, I was a little tipsy at the time, Angela admits with a small laugh. Nonetheless, if it means my cousin can stay in good health and not getting sent back to the hospital for overworking himself, then it's worth it. Neil rolls his eyes. Don't be dramatic. I simply passed out and decided to stay in one of the rooms since I actually have the kind of privilege for being a forester. My health was in no danger. It clicks in my mind that he's talking about the day Angela told me that Neil was in the hospital, and I rushed over to him like an idiot to see if he was doing alright. So he was actually fine all of this time? So I don't need you worrying about how much I'm working at the hospital. I can handle it. I didn't ask you to bargain with my parents to strike some kind of preposterous deal about finding me a fiancé. Least of all, why would you involve her of all people? This boy! Angela's eyebrows finally lower. She looks genuinely upset. Excuse me for worrying about you. You know it breaks my heart to see you work this much. Your 20s should be spent partying and carefree to follow your dreams and passion. You shouldn't be wasting it away in some smelly old hospital among business associates. Well, you know I can't do much about that, replies Neil. Ask why he can't do anything about it. And why not? Are you being forced to work? I simply ask. Suddenly the both of them start talking to turn to look at me, realizing that I'm actually still here. They look at me like I've mentioned something that has never even crossed their minds. Mind your own business. You shouldn't even be here. You have no knowledge of what's going on here, says Neil. I'm here because Angela invited me, I say, not backing down, and for some reason I'm being dragged into this drama of yours. So I ask you again, why not? No one is forcing you to work. You can just up and quit. Oh, believe me, I tried, said Angela. I even tried to get him fired, but his parents are dead set on him taking over as CEO. They want the hospital to stay in the family. And you can't say no? I ask. It's not that simple, says Neil, exasperated. I shrug my shoulders, and why not? Neil can't do it, answers Angela for him. Maybe you can convince him for me. Angela, bite your tongue. There's no need to involve Meli in our family issues. And why in the world are we discussing this at the cafe? We don't need to air our dirty laundry. I really wanted some coffee, said Angela. Got a pretty big hangover from last night. So you were drunk, says Neil accusingly. Let's not change the subject. Neil turns to look at me. Get up. I'm leaving. Quickly, I stand up from my seat to let Neil out of the booth. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on anymore. There was just so much information thrown at me. I feel like I'm too much of a stranger to insert myself into this. One thing is for sure, though. I'm not going to pretend to be your fiance, I tell Neil to his face as he passes me by. An irked expression crosses Neil's face. Well, yeah, fuck him, man. I never expected you to, he replies with a bitter voice. Neil shakes his head at Angela as he exits the booth. Angela, just stop with the crazy ideas or trying to work out deals with my family. I'm fine. Neil finally takes his leave. I sit back down and a loss of words. What do I make of this conversation with crazy ideas? I was hoping he'd say yes. You look too lovely to reject, he says Angela. I guess it was worth a shot. I can't think of any other way to get him to stop overworking himself. I take a few minutes to collect my thoughts, and I wonder if I should say anything at all. It's definitely not my place. Neil is right about that, at least. Sorry for dragging you into this, love. Hope it didn't sully the relationship between you and Neil. I feel myself blush a little. We don't have much of a relationship. I recall the memories of the night that we kissed vividly, so no matter how hard I try to suppress my thoughts. However, I do see he has a very kind and caring cousin that has his back. I say with a smile. I'm sure he's happy to have you in his life. You flatter me, you're such a doll. Now why won't we drink up some coffee and catch up? Tell me about your latest ideas in fashion. Now that is something that I can actually talk about. We stay at the cafe for a couple of hours discussing fashion trends, as well as Angela wanting to have another dress made for another formal event. I had a lot of fun hanging out with Angela, but in the back of my mind, I'm still wondering about Neil. I'm still so shook. I'm shook. Like, what am I don't know. Damn, this game. It's so... The way that Neil was just like, why would I want to be a fiancé with her? It's kind of like, dude, don't do that to me, man. Fuck you. Anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this part of Tailor Tales. And also, I'll put the link again in the description if you guys want to play this game. And I will continue this next time. Until next time, you guys. I said that twice. Bye! Johnny. God damn it, Neil.